What if the pursuit of knowledge was a dangerous game, a fight for the mind's freedom in a world clinging to old ways? What if the very foundations of modern thought were laid brick by brick in defiance during the medieval period? Number 10. University of Coimbra. The late 13th century in Portugal saw a rising maritime power with an urgent need for its own intellectual hub. King Denis I, known as the Farmer King for his agricultural reforms and his love for culture, took a decisive step. In 1290, he established the Studium Generale in Lisbon. This was the seed of what would become the venerable University of Coimbra, though it would take a few moves before finding its permanent home. King understood that a strong nation needed educated administrators, lawyers, and thinkers to navigate its growing influence in the world. The early years of this nascent university were marked by a curious journey. It did not settle down right away. After its initial founding in Lisbon, the Studium Generale made a significant move to Coimbra in 1308. Coimbra, with its rich history and strategic location, offered a more tranquil environment, a place where scholars could truly focus. However, the university's restless spirit was not yet satisfied. It bounced back to Lisbon in 1338, and then returned to Coimbra in 1354. This back-and-forth migration continued, with another move to Lisbon in 1377, before finally permanently settling in Coimbra in 1537 under the reign of King John III. This final relocation cemented its identity and future in the beautiful city by the Mondego River. Courses offered mirrored the intellectual priorities of the age. Students flocked to study the liberal arts, a foundational curriculum encompassing grammar, rhetoric, logic, arithmetic, geometry, astronomy, and music. Beyond these foundational subjects, the university quickly developed strong faculties of law, medicine, and theology. The study of law was particularly vital as Portugal was building its legal and administrative systems to support its expanding empire. Graduates were eagerly sought after to serve the crown, to manage burgeoning trade, and to administer newly acquired territories. The legal tradition that blossomed here provided the intellectual backbone for Portuguese statecraft for centuries. Life for students at Coimbra was both rigorous and communal. They lived in colleges, institutions that provided not only accommodation, but also structured academic and social lives. These colleges, often founded by royal patronage or private donations, created a tight-knit community among the scholars. The traditions that formed within these walls became enduring hallmarks of Coimbra's student culture. Student life was not all quiet study. It involved intricate rituals, fierce loyalty to their colleges, and the occasional boisterous celebration. The academic year was punctuated by public disputations, where students and masters debated complex philosophical and theological questions, honing their intellectual prowess and rhetorical skills. One of the most striking features of Coimbra's legacy is its magnificent Bibliotheca Joanina, or Joanine Library. Though built in the 18th century, it houses a vast collection of texts from the medieval period, and beyond preserving the intellectual heritage that the university had painstakingly gathered over centuries, the very existence of such an opulent library speaks volumes about the value placed on written knowledge and scholarly pursuit at Coimbra. The intricate Baroque architecture and the preserved leather-bound volumes inside tell a story of dedication to learning that spanned generations. The university's influence radiated far beyond the borders of Portugal. As Portugal embarked on its age of discovery, Coimbra provided the intellectual framework and the trained personnel necessary for these ambitious ventures. Its graduates went on to serve as explorers, cartographers, lawyers, and administrators in the newly discovered lands across the globe, from Brazil to India. They carried with them the legal principles, the scientific methods, and the philosophical inquiries nurtured within Coimbra's ancient halls. The university played a direct role in shaping the legal and administrative structures of the Portuguese colonial empire, a testament to its practical as well as theoretical significance. Even though Coimbra had moved several times, each relocation solidified its purpose and resilience. It survived political upheavals, religious reforms, and societal changes, continually adapting while holding fast to its core mission of cultivating knowledge. The university became a symbol of Portuguese national identity and intellectual pride. Its very stones whisper tales of dedicated scholars, groundbreaking ideas, and a relentless pursuit of understanding that shaped a nation and its global reach. The academic foundation laid by King Denis I continued to support a long line of thinkers, jurists, and leaders who defined Portugal's place in the world. Number 9. Charles University in Prague. In the heart of Central Europe, a powerful ruler with grand ambitions sought to establish a beacon of learning that would rival the intellectual centers of Paris and Bologna. Charles IV, Holy Roman Emperor and King of Bohemia, understood the profound power of knowledge to shape states and secure legacies. In 1348, with a royal charter and the support of Pope Clement VI, Charles University in Prague was founded. This was not just another university. It was the first university established in Central Europe, a strategic move that placed Prague at the forefront of the intellectual landscape of the Holy Roman Empire. The establishment of Charles University marked a deliberate effort to elevate Prague's status as an imperial capital. Emperor Charles IV envisioned a university that would train an educated class of administrators, jurists, theologians, and medical practitioners loyal to his rule and capable of serving the needs of his vast empire. Unlike some earlier universities that grew organically from cathedral schools or student guilds, Charles University was a planned institution, a direct result of imperial initiative. Its founding document laid out a clear structure and purpose. The university was initially structured around 4 faculties: theology, law, medicine, and the liberal arts. The Faculty of Arts served as the preparatory school for the higher faculties, providing students with a foundational education in grammar, rhetoric, logic, arithmetic, geometry, astronomy, and music. After completing their studies in the arts, students could then proceed to specialize in one of the 3 professional fields. Theology was particularly significant, as Prague was a major religious center, and the university aimed to contribute to the theological debates of the time. The study of law was equally crucial for the administration of the vast and complex Holy Roman Empire. Student life at Charles University was organized around nations, groupings of students and masters based on their geographical origin. These nations, Bohemian, Bavarian, Polish, and Saxon, provided a framework for academic organization, social support, and even political representation within the university. Each nation had its own statutes, its own officials, and played a role in the university's governance. This system fostered a sense of community among students who had traveled from diverse parts of Europe to study in Prague. The university became a vibrant hub of intellectual activity, attracting scholars and students from across the Holy Roman Empire and beyond. Its reputation grew rapidly, drawing some of the brightest minds of the age. Public disputations were a regular feature of academic life, where masters and students engaged in rigorous debates on complex philosophical, theological, and legal issues. These intellectual contests honed critical thinking skills and disseminated new ideas throughout the continent. A significant figure associated with Charles University was Jan Hus. As a master and later rector of the university, Hus became a prominent reformer who challenged certain doctrines and practices of the Catholic Church. His teachings, deeply rooted in the theological discussions taking place within the university, sparked a major religious movement known as Hussitism, which had profound implications for Bohemia and the wider European religious landscape. The university served as the intellectual crucible where these reformist ideas were forged and disseminated, demonstrating its powerful role in shaping not only academic thought, but also religious and political movement. The Hussite wars that followed Huss's execution had a profound impact on the university. For a period, it became a center of Utrechtist Hussite learning. Distinct from the Catholic mainstream, this period of intellectual independence, while challenging, solidified its identity and its commitment to critical inquiry. Despite periods of decline and restructuring, Charles University endured, continuously adapting to the changing political and religious landscape of Central Europe. The university's medieval legacy laid the groundwork for centuries of intellectual achievement. Its alumni went on to serve as influential figures in various fields across Europe, contributing to law, medicine, theology, and the arts. The very existence of this robust academic institution in Prague signaled a shift in the intellectual geography of Europe, bringing high-level scholarship and sophisticated learning closer to the eastern parts of the continent. Charles University truly embodied the emperor's vision, becoming a lasting monument to the power of education and the enduring pursuit of knowledge in medieval Europe. Number 8. University of Montpellier. In the sun-drenched region of Languedoc in southern France, a distinct intellectual tradition was taking root, quite different from the theological fervor of Paris or the legal obsession of Bologna. Montpellier, a thriving mercantile city with a cosmopolitan outlook, became a hub for practical knowledge, especially in medicine and law. While officially recognized as a university by Pope Nicholas IV in 1289, its origins stretched back much further, evolving from informal schools that had flourished in the 12th century. The unique blend of influences in Montpellier made it a truly special place for learning. Montpellier's rise as an academic center was intrinsically linked to its geographical position and its open-minded population. As a major trading port, it attracted merchants, scholars, and ideas from across the Mediterranean world, including the Islamic world and Jewish communities. This exchange fostered a particularly strong tradition in medicine. Unlike many other European centers where medicine was primarily theoretical, the medical school in Montpellier was known for its practical, empirical approach, drawing heavily on the sophisticated medical knowledge preserved and advanced in Arabic texts. The medical school of Montpellier traced its roots to various physicians, both Christian and Jewish, who established informal schools and practiced in the city. By the 12th century, these schools had gained significant renown, attracting students eager to learn from the best practitioners. The university's formal recognition in 1289 consolidated these disparate schools into a structured institution, solidifying its reputation as a leading center for medical education in Europe, often rivaling the much older Salerno School in Italy. Dissections of human bodies, though controversial, were reportedly conducted here earlier than in many other European centers, providing students with invaluable anatomical knowledge. Beyond medicine, Montpellier also developed a strong faculty of law. The legal traditions here were influenced by both Roman law, a legacy of the region's historical ties to the Roman Empire, and canon law, the law of the Church. The city's bustling commercial activities also necessitated a robust understanding of contractual law and property rights. This practical application of legal principles attracted students who sought to enter the legal professions, serving both the crown and the growing merchant class. Life for students in Montpellier was perhaps a bit less regimented than in the northern universities. While structured, the city's lively atmosphere, its diverse population, and its focus on practical rather than purely speculative knowledge likely offered a different academic experience. Students lived in various colleges and private lodgings, forming communities based on their shared studies and origins. Public lectures and academic disputations were central to the learning process, with masters guiding students through complex medical cases or intricate legal precedents. The university's graduates went on to make significant contributions to the fields of medicine and law across Europe. Physicians trained in Montpellier were highly sought after, renowned for their practical skills and their understanding of pharmacology and diagnosis. The influence of Montpellier's medical school was felt for centuries, shaping medical practices and theoretical frameworks in France and beyond. Even the famous French astrologer and physician Nostradamus is said to have studied medicine at Montpellier, though his graduation is a subject of historical debate. The unique intellectual environment at Montpellier, where diverse cultures and knowledge traditions converged, allowed for a more open approach to learning. This openness was particularly crucial for the advancement of medicine, a field that benefited immensely from the cross-pollination of ideas. The university's mediaeval foundations laid the groundwork for its enduring legacy as a center of scientific inquiry, a place where empirical observation and practical application were valued alongside theoretic wonder. Montpellier's story is a testament to how practical needs and cultural exchange can fuel the development of groundbreaking academic institutions. Number 7. University of Salamanca. Nestled on the plains of Castile in Spain, the city of Salamanca became home to one of Europe's most enduring and influential medieval universities. Founded by King Alfonso IX of Leon in 1218, and later granted a royal charter by Pope Alexander IV in 1255, the University of Salamanca quickly rose to prominence. It was not just a regional institution. It became a major intellectual powerhouse for the entire Iberian Peninsula, a place where new ideas were debated, legal principles were refined, and theological questions were rigorously examined during Spain's Golden Age. King Alfonso IX established the university as a studium generale in the city of Salamanca, aiming to provide a center of higher learning within his kingdom, reducing the need for his subjects to travel to France or Italy for their education. Papal bull from Alexander IV further legitimized the institution, granting it privileges and recognizing its academic standing throughout Christendom. This dual foundation, both royal and papal, provided a strong basis for its rapid development and widespread recognition. From its earliest days, Salamanca developed a strong reputation in the study of law and theology. Its legal faculty attracted students from across Spain and Portugal, eager to master both Roman law and the complex canon law of the Church. The university's jurists played a significant role in advising the Spanish monarchy and in shaping the legal systems of the burgeoning Spanish Empire. The theological faculty, on the other hand, was a hub for scholastic debate, addressing the great religious and philosophical questions of the medieval period and beyond. It was a place where challenging doctrines were dissected and defended with intellectual rigor. Student life in Salamanca was vibrant and competitive. Students, often from noble families or with a strong desire for professional advancement, lived in residential colleges, many of which were established by religious orders or wealthy patrons. These colleges provided a structured environment for study and social interaction, fostering strong bonds among students and masters. The university's physical presence in the city was immense, with impressive academic buildings and a distinct collegiate atmosphere that permeated the urban landscape. The University of Salamanca gained particular historical renown during the Age of Exploration. It became a crucial center for the intellectual debates surrounding the discovery of the Americas. Scholars at Salamanca engaged in deep discussions on the rights of indigenous peoples, the nature of conquest, and the justness of Spanish rule. Figures associated with the School of Salamanca, though not a formal school in the modern sense, advanced groundbreaking ideas on natural law, international law, and human rights, concepts that influenced legal and political thought for centuries. Francisco de Vitoria, a prominent Dominican friar and professor of theology, is often cited as a foundational figure in these debates, questioning the moral legitimacy of the Spanish conquest purely by right of discovery. The university's influence extended to scientific inquiry as well. Its astronomers and cosmographers contributed to the evolving understanding of the world, providing calculations and maps that aided navigation during the era of global exploration. While not as focused on medicine as Montpellier or Padua, Salamanca nevertheless provided a comprehensive medieval education that equipped its graduates for a wide range of roles in society. Salamanca's architectural legacy is a testament to its long history and prestige. The university buildings, with their intricate plateresque facades and grand courtyards, reflect centuries of academic tradition. The ancient classrooms and libraries, some of which still stand, housed countless lectures and debates that shaped the minds of generations. The university's enduring commitment to the interplay of law, theology, and philosophy made it a critical institution in the development of Spanish identity and its global reach. Its medieval roots were deeply embedded in the intellectual fabric that defined Spain's golden age. Number 6. University of Naples, Federico II. In 1224, a truly revolutionary step was taken in the world of higher education. Emperor Frederick II, the powerful and unconventional ruler of the Holy Roman Empire and King of Sicily, founded the University of Naples. This was no ordinary university, born from a cathedral school or a guild of students. This was the first university in Europe to be established by a secular ruler with a clear strategic purpose. Frederick II envisioned an institution that would serve the direct needs of his state, training loyal administrators, jurists, and officials for his vast and complex kingdom. Frederick II, known as Stupor Mundi, Wonder of the World, for his remarkable intellect and eclectic interests, wanted to create a center of learning that was entirely under imperial control. His motivation was clear. He needed highly educated men who would be devoted to him and his government, not to the Pope or to independent city-states. He also aimed to reduce the number of his subjects traveling to Bologna or Paris for their education, thus preventing the outflow of talent and potential dissent. The University of Naples was a calculated instrument of statecraft designed to strengthen his centralized power. The university offered instruction in the liberal arts, medicine, and most importantly, law. The study of law was paramount, as Frederick II sought to reform and centralize the legal system of his kingdom. He needed skilled jurists to interpret and apply his laws, and loyal administrators to govern his territories efficiently. Curriculum was designed to produce pragmatic civil servants and lawyers who understood the imperial agenda. This focus on practical state-serving education distinguished Naples from universities that evolved more organically from religious or student-led initiatives. Life for students at Naples was structured by the imperial will. Frederick II not only founded the university, but also provided financial support for students, offering scholarships and free tuition to attract promising scholars. He even legislated rules to ensure the university's smooth operation and to prevent conflicts between students and townspeople. The emperor's direct involvement meant that academic appointments, curriculum development, and even student discipline were subject to his authority, a stark contrast to the more autonomous universities elsewhere. Professors at Naples were highly regarded, often chosen personally by the emperor for their expertise and loyalty. They taught a curriculum that was practical and focused on the needs of the state, particularly in law. The university's legal scholars became instrumental in drafting and implementing Frederick II's comprehensive legal code, the Constitutions of Melfi, a landmark in European jurisprudence. This direct link between academic research and state governance was a defining characteristic of Naples. While its primary purpose was to serve the state, the University of Naples also attracted scholars with diverse interests. Frederick II himself was a patron of science and scholarship, and he fostered an environment that, while controlled, also valued intellectual inquiry. The university's medical school, though perhaps less renowned than Montpellier, was also important, providing trained physicians for the kingdom. The model of the University of Naples, a state-funded and state-controlled institution, was highly influential. It set a precedent for later monarchs and rulers who sought to establish universities as tools for nation-building and administrative efficiency. While many medieval universities owed their existence to the church or to local initiatives, Naples demonstrated the potential of a university as a direct instrument of royal or imperial power. It was a clear statement that education could be harnessed to serve secular political goals. The University of Naples, Federico II, even through subsequent periods of change and reform, maintained its legacy as a pioneering institution, a testament to the vision of an emperor who understood the power of organized knowledge for the state. Number 5. University of Padua. The year 1222 marked a significant moment in the intellectual history of Europe. Following a wave of student and professor migration from the bustling, sometimes contentious, University of Bologna, a new center of learning began to flourish in Padua, a prosperous city in northeastern Italy. This migration was a direct response to the perceived lack of freedom and oppressive student-teacher relationships in Bologna. The University of Padua was born from a desire for greater academic autonomy and a more liberal intellectual environment. This independent spirit became a defining characteristic of the institution, fostering an openness to new ideas that would attract some of the greatest minds of later centuries. Padua quickly established itself as a leading institution, particularly renowned for its schools of law and medicine. Its legal faculty, drawing directly from the Bologna tradition, continued to excel in the study of Roman law and canon law, attracting students who sought careers in legal and administrative fields. However, it was perhaps in medicine where Padua truly carved out its unique identity. The medical school became famous across Europe for its commitment to empirical observation and its pioneering use of human dissection. This emphasis on direct study of the human body was a radical departure from older, more theoretical approaches to medicine and contributed immensely to advances in anatomical understanding. One of the most remarkable features of Padua's medical school was its anatomical theater. Built in 1594, it was the first permanent anatomical theater in Europe, allowing for systematic public dissections for teaching purposes. This structure, still preserved, allowed students to observe dissections from tiered circular benches surrounding the dissecting table. The act of witnessing anatomy firsthand was a gooding experience for medical students, pushing the boundaries of medical knowledge and training. The medical practices taught at Padua directly contributed to the Enlightenment and the scientific revolution. The university's independent spirit also extended to its governance. While Bologna was known for its student-run model, Padua maintained a similar ethos of student power, with students wielding considerable influence over their professors and the university's administration. This academic freedom was a powerful draw, attracting scholars who sought an environment where they could pursue their inquiries without excessive external interference. This atmosphere proved fertile ground for intellectual innovation, especially in scientific fields. Padua became a magnet for groundbreaking thinkers. Galileo Galilei, the renowned astronomer and physicist, taught at Padua for 18 years, from 1592 to 1610. It was during his tenure here that he made many of his most significant astronomical discoveries, including his observations with the telescope that challenged the geocentric model of the universe. The university provided him with a platform and a relatively open intellectual climate in which to pursue his revolutionary ideas. His presence at Padua cemented its reputation as a leading center for scientific inquiry. Other famous figures also passed through Padua's halls. William Harvey, the English physician who accurately described the circulation of blood, studied there in the early 17th century, likely benefiting from the advanced anatomical instruction. Nicolaus Copernicus, the father of modern astronomy, is also believed to have studied law at Padua, further illustrating the university's broad appeal to future intellectual giants. The University of Padua's medieval foundation, born from a desire for intellectual freedom, laid the groundwork for centuries of scientific and medical innovation. It demonstrated that a university could be a place of rigorous empirical investigation, not just theological debate. Its unique blend of legal scholarship, pioneering medical education, and a commitment to academic liberty made it a cornerstone of European intellectual history, shaping not only the minds of its students, but also the course of scientific discovery. Number 4. University of Cambridge. In the early 13th century, a significant event reshaped the intellectual landscape of England. In 1209, a group of scholars reportedly fleeing the bustling and often contentious town of Oxford due to disputes with local townspeople sought refuge and a new beginning in the market town of Cambridge. This migration marked the unofficial beginnings of the University of Cambridge, an institution that would over centuries become one of the world's most distinguished centers of learning, a powerful rival to its older sibling, Oxford. Like Oxford, Cambridge did not have a precise founding date or a specific charter in its earliest days. It grew organically from the presence of these migrating scholars who began to organize themselves and teach in the area. By the mid-13th century, it was clear that a distinct academic community was firmly established. Royal charters and papal bulls later solidified its status and granted it privileges, mirroring the recognition given to other major European universities. Cambridge quickly developed a structure similar to other medieval universities, focusing on the traditional faculties of arts, theology, law, and medicine. The Faculty of Arts served as the core, providing a broad foundational education before students specialized in the higher faculties. Theology was a particularly strong discipline, attracting scholars interested in religious doctrine and debate. The university became a significant center for English scholasticism, interpreting complex philosophical and theological texts through rigorous logical analysis. Student life at Cambridge, like Oxford, evolved around the collegiate system. Over time, independent colleges began to be established, often through the patronage of wealthy individuals or religious orders. These colleges provided accommodation, teaching, and a structured community for students and fellows. Peterhouse, founded in 1284, is recognized as the oldest existing college within Cambridge. These colleges fostered a strong sense of identity and loyalty, contributing to the distinct character of the university. They became the primary units of academic and social life, offering a blend of communal living and individual study. The relationship between town and gown, the local residents, and the university community was often fraught with tension, a common characteristic of medieval university towns. Conflicts over jurisdiction, economic impact, and cultural differences sometimes erupted into violence, a stark reminder of the unique challenges faced by these academic enclaves within larger urban setting. Despite these difficulties, the university persevered, its intellectual mission outweighing the local disturbances. Cambridge's medieval foundation laid the groundwork for its later role as a powerhouse of scientific and philosophical thought. While its early focus was largely on the arts and theology, the intellectual rigor and the emphasis on logical reasoning developed in the medieval period provided a fertile ground for the scientific revolution that would come centuries later. The university's scholars engaged in intense intellectual debates, contributing to the broader European intellectual discourse. The enduring rivalry between Oxford and Cambridge, often seen as a defining feature of English academic life, also has its roots in these early centuries. This competition, while sometimes intense, often pushed both institutions to greater heights of academic achievement, fostering a culture of excellence and innovation. Cambridge, emerging from the shadow of Oxford, forged its own unique identity and traditions, contributing immensely to the intellectual, religious, and political life of England. Its medieval origins established it as a formidable intellectual force, shaping generations of leaders, thinkers, and innovators in the English-speaking world. Number 3. University of Oxford. In the heart of England, long before its iconic spires defined the cityscape, an intellectual community began to flourish, quietly laying the groundwork for what would become the English-speaking world's oldest university. While no specific founding date exists, teaching at Oxford can be traced back to at least 1096. However, its true rapid development as a studium generale, or a university proper, took off in 1167. This was the year when King Henry II banned English students from attending the University of Paris, a move that effectively forced a significant number of scholars to return home and consolidate their academic activities in Oxford. This royal decree, though perhaps unintended, provided the catalyst for Oxford's meteoric rise. Oxford, situated at a strategic crossroads, had already been a site of significant ecclesiastical activity and intellectual exchange. The influx of scholars from Paris brought with them Parisian academic traditions, including the emphasis on scholasticism and the organization of masters and students. The university grew organically with masters and students, forming guilds much like tradesmen to protect their interests and regulate their learning. The university was initially structured around the traditional four faculties: arts, theology, law, and medicine. The Faculty of Arts was the largest and most fundamental, providing a broad education in the liberal arts, serving as a prerequisite for entry into the higher faculties. Theology, in particular, became a cornerstone of Oxford's intellectual life. The university quickly established itself as a leading center for scholastic philosophy and theology, engaging in profound debates that shaped the intellectual currents of the medieval church and beyond. Life for students and masters at Oxford was often communal and intense. They lived in halls and later in colleges, which began to emerge in the 13th century as organized residences providing both lodging and instruction. University College, founded in 1249, and Merton College, founded in 1264, are among the earliest. These colleges became distinct entities, fostering a collegiate system that remains a defining characteristic of Oxford today. This system created close-knit communities where students learned from tutors and engaged in lively intellectual discourse. Oxford was a hub of significant intellectual activity, attracting some of the most influential thinkers of the medieval period. Roger Bacon, a Franciscan friar of the 13th century, taught at Oxford and is known for his advocacy of empirical methods and his contributions to optics and alchemy, even though some of his ideas were considered radical for his time. John Wycliffe, a 14th century theologian, was another prominent Oxford figure, whose criticisms of the Church laid some of the groundwork for later Protestant reformations. The university was a place where challenging ideas were debated and new intellectual frontiers were explored, even in the face of ecclesiastical scrutiny. The relationship between the university community and the townspeople of Oxford was often strained, leading to numerous town and gown clashes throughout the medieval period. These conflicts, driven by economic competition, social friction, and jurisdictional disputes, sometimes escalated into violent confrontations, such as the infamous St. Scholastica Day riot in 1355. Despite these challenges, the university maintained its independence and continued to flourish, demonstrating the resilience of its academic mission. Oxford's medieval foundations laid the groundwork for centuries of intellectual excellence. Its rigorous academic traditions, its collegiate system, and its commitment to the pursuit of knowledge established it as a powerhouse of learning. The university's strong emphasis on disputation and logical reasoning shaped countless minds, providing a framework for critical thought that extended far beyond the classroom. The intellectual currents born in its medieval halls continued to influence English thought, politics, and culture for generations, making Oxford a true cornerstone of European intellectual history. Number 2. University of Paris. In the vibrant city of Paris, renowned for its cathedral schools, a powerful intellectual revolution was brewing in the late 12th century. From the clusters of masters and students teaching in the shadow of Notre Dame, the University of Paris emerged not from a single founding decree, but through an organic, powerful growth. By around 1200 to 1215, it had gained formal recognition and privileges, cementing its status as the most important center for theology and philosophy in medieval Europe. It was often called the mother of universities because its organizational model, particularly its emphasis on the Master's Guild, influenced countless institutions that followed. The University of Paris grew out of the cathedral schools of Notre Dame, Saint Genevieve, and Saint Victor. As the number of students and masters swelled, they began to organize themselves into guilds to protect their rights and regulate their academic activities. This Master's Guild model, where the professors held significant power, contrasted with the Student Guild model prevalent in Bologna. Pope, recognizing the strategic importance of this burgeoning intellectual hub, granted it numerous privileges, including the right to confer degrees that were recognized throughout Christendom, making Paris a global academic authority. The university was structured around 4 distinct faculties: theology, canon law, medicine, and the liberal arts. The Faculty of Arts was the largest and most foundational, providing the liberal arts curriculum that served as a prerequisite for advanced study. However, it was the Faculty of Theology that truly made Paris shine. It became the undisputed intellectual capital for theological and philosophical debate, attracting the greatest minds of the age who sought to reconcile Christian doctrine with reason and classical philosophy. Life for students and masters was deeply intertwined with the city of Paris itself. Students, often young and from across Europe, grouped themselves into nations based on their geographical origin: the French, Picard, Norman, and English, which included Germans and Scandinavians. These nations were academic and social units, with their own elected officials and traditions. Students often lived in residential colleges, which began to emerge in the 13th century, providing structured environments for study and communal life. The Sorbonne, founded by Robert de Sorbonne in 1257 for impoverished theology students, became one of the most famous and influential of these colleges, eventually lending its name to the entire university. The University of Paris was the crucible of scholasticism, the dominant philosophical and theological method of the medieval period. Scholars like Thomas Aquinas, the Dominican friar and philosopher, taught there and developed his monumental systematic theology, Summa Theologica, which integrated Aristotelian philosophy with Christian doctrine. Albertus Magnus Bonaventure and John Duns Scotus also graced its halls, contributing to the vibrant intellectual atmosphere. Debates, known as disputations, were central to the learning process, with masters and students engaging in rigorous intellectual combat to explore and defend complex ideas. The university's influence extended far beyond academic circles. Its theologians often acted as advisors to kings and popes, playing a significant role in major religious and political events. The condemnation of various heresies, the attempts to reform the church, and the debates over papal authority all saw the active involvement of Parisian masters. Its opinions carried immense weight throughout Latin Christendom, making it a powerful force in shaping both intellectual and ecclesiastical policy. Despite periods of internal conflict, royal interference, and the disruptions of the 100 Years' War, the University of Paris endured, its intellectual legacy deepening with each passing century. Its medieval origins established it as a model for university organization, a powerhouse of theological inquiry, and a global intellectual arbiter. The methods of rigorous argument, systematic thought, and the pursuit of universal knowledge forged in its medieval halls continued to shape Western intellectual tradition for generations. Number 1. University of Bologna. In the ancient city of Bologna, nestled in the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy, A grounding institution began to take shape in the late 11th century. While exact founding dates are debated, the University of Bologna is generally recognized as the first university in the Western world, with its roots firmly established by 1088. This was not a creation by king or pope, but rather an organic development driven by a powerful demand for specialized knowledge, particularly in the intricate field of Roman law. Bologna's unique organizational structure, largely student-run, set it apart and became a model for many subsequent European universities. Bologna's rise as a center of learning was directly linked to the rediscovery and renewed interest in the ancient Roman legal code. The Corpus Juris Civilis, compiled by Emperor Justinian I, as European society grew more complex, with burgeoning trade, new political structures, and increasing disputes, there was an urgent need for trained jurists who could interpret and apply these suffin juris. Students, often older men with a clear professional aim, flocked to Bologna to study under masters who had specialized in Roman law. These students, many of whom were foreign and without local protection, organized themselves into nations or universities, Latin universitas, meaning a guild or corporation. These student guilds collectively hired professors, set their salaries, and even disciplined them if they failed to deliver. This student guild model was revolutionary. Unlike the master-dominated university in Paris, the students in Bologna held significant power, establishing rules for attendance, lecture content, and even professors' travel. This practical, professional orientation defined Bologna from its very beginning. Core curriculum at Bologna centered on law, specifically civil law, Roman law, and canon law, church law. Irenaeus, often referred to as the lamp of the law, was a pivotal figure in the late 11th and early 12th centuries, leading the revival of Roman legal studies. His commentaries and teaching methods made Bologna the undisputed authority on Roman law. Gratian's Decretum, a foundational text of canon law compiled around 1140, further solidified Bologna's preeminence in legal studies, making it the go-to place for understanding both secular and ecclesiastical legal systems. Life for students at Bologna was rigorous and highly focused. They were often men of means, determined to gain a legal education that would open doors to lucrative careers in the church, in royal courts, or as independent lawyers. The nations provided a framework for social life, mutual support, and collective bargaining with the townspeople and professors. Public disputations and detailed interpretations of legal texts were central to the learning process, preparing students for the demanding work of legal practice. The influence of Bologna's legal scholars was immense. Graduates known as doctors of law were highly sought after across Europe, providing expert advice to kings, emperors, and popes. They shaped the legal systems of numerous kingdoms, spreading the principles of Roman law and canon law throughout the continent. The legal traditions nurtured in Bologna played a crucial role in the development of European legal thought and administration for centuries. While law was its primary focus, Bologna also developed faculties of arts, medicine, and theology. Though these were often seen as secondary to its legal prowess, the university's strong emphasis on practical knowledge and professional training distinguished it. Its enduring legacy is not just about being the first, but about pioneering a model of higher education that was responsive to the needs of society, particularly in the specialized field of law. The University of Bologna's medieval origins were the very bedrock upon which the entire concept of the modern university, as a place of specialized professional training and intellectual inquiry, was built.